to the second session of MeetTeamAtlas. My name is Zhen Li. I'm pursuing my doctoral stage as an early-stage researcher working at Politecnico di Milano and Delft University of Technology as a part of the ATLAS project. A friend and colleague of mine, Jorge Lazo, who is also involved in the ATLAS project, will talk to us. Let me introduce Jorge. Jorge studied mechatronics engineering at the National Polytechnic Institute of Mexico and physics at the National Autonomous University of Mexico. He continued his Master of Science in Physics, Biologic Physics, and Computational Biology at Lund University in Sweden. He obtained his master's degree working in an interdisciplinary project under the guidance of Professor Matthias Olsson, analyzing multispectral airborne data to detect archaeological ruins using computer vision and deep learning methods. Jorge is currently at Politecnico di Milano for a joint PhD along with University de Strasbourg as early-stage researcher in the ATLAS project. What a pleasure it is to have you here today.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's begin with the broad view. You are working in robotics. So what got you in robotics?
So it began since I was a children. I used to like science fiction, TV series, and movies. I remember my uncle once showed me Star Wars movie, the first trilogy, original. And from watching the robots that appear in this movie, I say like, oh, that seems very interesting because they have like this very complex behavior. I want a robot like that. Of course, those robots didn't exist back then, and still they don't exist. So then there was something interesting to understand how they work and how is it possible to build them. So let's say that was the first start. Then later I start to investigate by myself. I got, well, literature was kind of also another source of this preference for robotics. I found Isaac Asimov novels where he also talks about, well, he talks about a lot of things, but one of the topics that he explores is these robots that are, well, robots that are very developed, that they are almost like humans. You cannot find the difference between them. So just letting your imagination fly into these topics, that is what got me into this. Like, how could we, or is it even possible to develop this kind of organism? Not organism. Well, these beings that behave almost like humans but are not humans.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting. You start from the movies and then convert to the academic field. So talk about that. Can you introduce like the expertise of your lab?
Sure. Well, so as the other ESRs, as the other people working in this project, I'm enrolled into laboratories. One of them is IQ lab at Unistra, University of Strasbourg, and the other one is near lab here at Politecnico di Milano. In the case of my laboratory in Strasbourg, unfortunately, due to the pandemic, I haven't been able to be there. But I've heard that they are good in computer vision applications and the translations from research to actually the clinical application. And in the case here at NearLab, well, we have two divisions. We have the division of neuroengineering and the one of medical robotics, which is the one that I'm part of. And here they are good at developing techniques for minimal invasive surgery. They have previously worked in some other projects such as in 2020. Right now we have this of ATLAS, and then there are also some others for artery procedures, which name is also artery. So yes, they are very good in what they do at each laboratory.
Those projects sound very interesting. So what's your PhD based on?
Well, so in this ATLAS project, which intends to develop the next generation of flexible robots for minimal invasive surgery, My specific topic is related with the area of computer vision. And in this case, we are using computer vision, at least for my specific part, for two main objectives. One is for navigation, and the other is for diagnosis. So for the first one, is like we are kind of trying to have an approach similar to what is currently with autonomous cars. So in the case of autonomous cars, they use different sensors such as lidars, radars, and other kind of distance sensors to detect obstacles, plus computer vision to detect the same things, to detect the road, to detect the obstacles. So in this case, I'm using the cameras inside the endoscopes to detect the path, the road that this robot should follow inside the human body. And on the other part of the project, which is related to the part of diagnosis, and but I mean, well, like that's when you're talking about like computer-aided diagnosis. But of course, this information in like a higher level of autonomy could also be shared to the robot, and so the robot could perform some actions according to the kind of tissue that is watching.
Yeah, and considering your like research topic, do you see any limitations like accuracy or robustness?
Well, okay, so given a little, or talking a little bit further, complementing your previous question, for all these things that I'm doing, like this navigation-based, vision-based navigation or diagnosis, computer-aided diagnosis, I'm using something called deep learning, in which you use something called artificial neural networks. These things work, or the principle under which these artificial neural networks work is that you collect some data and then you teach the networks to identify some patterns of something that you are interested in detecting. You don't tell to the computer which patterns you are specifically. You don't tell which patterns are the ones that it should look. The computer should learn it by itself. When it comes to these kind of approaches, you need a fair amount of data. And you need a fair amount of data because you want your system to be as robust as possible. So then you need to gather different cases, different image illuminations, image conditions, different types of tissues. Currently that's actually one of the bottlenecks, so to speak. Because the regulations for collecting this data, according to the current standards of hospitals and the management of medical information, is quite difficult to get this. You need a lot of approvals and that. I mean, I understand that this is necessary, but it's also a part that holds you back, because if you could have access to the whole data sets that all the hospitals could have, these technologies could evolve or develop like really quickly, and the results could be amazing. But yes, I mean, this is something that needs to come to the public discussion, because this is not currently, the data that we are using is not any personal information. We don't care about any personal. We just want images, and the images cannot be related to something personal. So yeah, that's something that needs to be improved in the following years, I think. So all these methods and all these technologies could be improved.
Yes, we need to proceed the research work while respecting some ethics.
Sure.
So apart from that difficulties, has COVID-19 had any impact on your research?
In my research, yes, actually. Okay, so actually, that's some kind of a personal story. So when this pandemic started, I was in Mexico because I went there to visit. I was there because it was my sister's wedding. So exactly during that time, the pandemic started, the flights started to get canceled, and then you actually couldn't move from one continent to the other. The government started to send rescue flights to take their citizens back home, but like all this mess. So I got stuck back home for 3 months without the possibility to coming back until they reestablished the weekly flights.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, that was one issue. Of course, then coming back here, the life wasn't the same, because then I couldn't, like most of the people were working remotely, so then there was no more this interaction that gives you feedback, and like I think that is very useful. It's very necessary, this real life interaction to perform good science.
So apart from work, has the COVID-19 affected on your life in general?
Well, of course, I think that has affected everyone's life somehow. We are not allowed to go out as we used to do before. Well, I mean, coming back to my professional life, one of the major changes is that all the conferences right now are held online, which in my case I find it like not optimal. I think that there's a lot of things are lost there. Like it's not the same to have a virtual conference that a real life. And also, like in my personal life, well, I mean, I love to do outdoor activities like hiking and swimming and so on. So that's also something that right now is not possible. So yeah.
Yeah, it influenced a lot to everyone's life. So, and what's your vision regarding robotics?
Well, I think robotics in general have a bright future. Flexible robots, I think that probably will be well, I mean, that's now kind of a hot topic. Will be the way in which, in general, robotics will develop over the next years. Well, and probably more than flexible robotic, like nature-based designs, so more flexible, more like humans, more like not these rigid robots that only can perform their task in controlled environments, but actually robots that can interact with humans into their everyday life, and that can perform in situations with more variables. Like even like an operating room. Okay, right now the robots we have there are still like operated by a surgeon, and there are still like some other surgeons taking care that everything's proceed accordingly. But probably in the future, like these robots will have a higher level of autonomy, and yes, that's what I think about robotics future. They will be more important and will be more present in our everyday life.
Thanks for sharing that. Since you are involved in the ATLAS project, so how does the ATLAS project help in achieving your vision?
I like the approach that this ATLAS project is taking, because it involves people from different institutions, well, people in different institutions from different nationalities with different backgrounds, working in a common goal, which is the development of these flexible robots for minimally invasive surgery. And I think that's something amazing, because then you can get ideas that probably you couldn't get if you don't have included these persons which have a different background, a very different point of view. So I think that's amazing. Also, like the fact that we can participate in these secondments, in these kind of internships in companies or hospitals or other institutions, is also something very useful, because then you get feedback from all this, and all of these help you to develop better technologies which actually can target better the necessities to develop something into the real world.
Since the ATLAS project targets autonomous intraluminal surgery, so what's your opinion of the future of it?
I think that, well, the future is autonomous intraluminal surgery, as you say. I mean, right now that doesn't exist, but that's what the future of intraluminal surgery is going to be like, more robot-based, with robots with probably a higher level of autonomy. So yeah, that's my opinion. Well, that's what I think about the future of minimally invasive surgery.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So what are your future plans after PhD?
Well, it's hard to tell with this world changing so quickly from one moment to another. I mean, if something we learned from COVID-19 is that you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, so you don't know what's going to happen by the time that you finish your PhD. But let's say that I would like to take a little break for I don't know, maybe a few months, travel to Mongolia. I mean, if I don't do it after the PhD, I will do it sometime, but I will have to do it after it. Go hiking into this region between Siberia, Kazakhstan, and the Gobi Desert. For me, I don't know, sounds something very appealing that I would like to do, to discover this part of the world that is very different and to which I have never been to. But okay, yeah, that's like my holiday dream, right? After PhD. From a career perspective, I think that well, it's hard to tell it's hard to define exactly because it's very broad. But what I like to do is to have a job in this thing that I love, that is research related with computer vision. While at the same time I know that I'm doing something positive for the society and I'm having a positive impact in the people that surrounds me. So that I know that I could achieve either a goal from academia or from industry. That's something yet that I have to define clearly. But it depends, like those are different paths that could lead me to this goal that I want.
Yeah, you mentioned mountain hiking, so apart from that, what are your hobbies apart from work?
Of course, apart from working, which other hobbies I have? Well, I like photography. I like astrophotography, which is a nice combination with hiking. Because you go to the forest, to the mountain in the night, and then you can see the sky amazingly. You can see the Milky Way, and if you have a good photography equipment, you can take also like amazing shoots. But some other things that I like is swimming and playing the piano. Well, I mean, when I have a piano, not right now. And reading maybe too.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. To the end, can you give some advice to people who would like to pursue a research career, and especially in robotics?
Sure. So first of all, I will say that you should be really convinced about it, because it's not going to be easy. It will require a lot of work. So then, yes, you should be really sure that that's what you want to. Second, if you, after thinking it deeply, you really decide that you want to pursue a career in research, just don't forget about yourself. So find the right equilibrium for you, for maintaining your life healthy in all the aspects, mentally and physically, so you can perform all the tasks, all the tasks that you will need to do during your research career. Yeah, so just don't forget about it. We are developing robots, but we are not robots, right? So then we need interaction with other humans, we need food, we need all these things, the social, psychological part is also important. And finally, don't try like as many things. Don't stop learning. Be curious, because by the end of the day, this is what it's about, right? So to get ideas, to try your ideas, to find some problems and try to find them according to your previous knowledge and your previous or any other things that you can find. And then you never know where you're going to find these new ways of thinking. So don't get stuck in only one single part. It's better if you could have like the whole picture of the thing. That I would say like that's what actually would take you further, to have like a global vision.
Yes, thanks for the valuable advice, and thank you for your time today. Please don't forget to follow our channel. See you next time.